So now we will be discussing non-current liabilities. Before we discuss these contents, let's revise the balance sheet, the main parts of the balance sheet. There are four major headings on the liability side of the balance sheet. First is shareholder fund. Second one is share application money pending allotment. Then third one is non-current liabilities, and fourth one is current liabilities. Now the subheadings. So shareholder fund has three subheadings: share capital, reserves and surplus, and money received against share warrants. Share application money pending allotment, it is not having any subheading. Then non-current liabilities, there are four subheadings. So first is long-term borrowings. Second is deferred tax liability. Then other non-current liabilities, and fourth one is long-term provisions. In the same manner, current liabilities are having four subheadings. First one is short-term borrowings. Then second one is trade payables. Third one is other current liabilities, and fourth one is short-term provisions. So this is all about the liability side. So if you will write few times and if you will revise it, recite it for few times, you will be able to learn the main contents of the balance sheet, and that this chapter will be very easy for you, and you will be able to score 4 to 7 marks only and only for this chapter. Now coming to the non-current liabilities components. See, first subheading is long-term borrowings. So what are the major points to be written in this subheading? First one is bonds. Second one is debentures. Debentures, you are now much familiar with the debentures. We have already discussed the debentures. And bonds are almost like debentures. Earlier, government was issuing bonds for whatever funds they require for their working to the public. But nowadays, for last many years, private sector is also issuing bonds. So this is also a way for collecting or borrowing funds from the public. Then third one is term loan from bank or other parties. So either you will be taking loan from bank or some other company or some other financiers. So that's why it is written term loan from bank or other parties. Now term loan means the loan taken for a fixed term, and obviously it will be a long term, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It can be any point, any term. Now next one is public deposits. If you remember last year chapter, you have studied sources of business finance. In that we have discussed equity shares, preference shares, debentures, public deposits, retained earnings, ADRs, GDRs. So many instruments you have learned. So actually see, this is the liability side of the balance sheet, and this is actually financing portion of the business. Share capital, reserves and surplus, non-current liabilities. This is the long-term financing of any business. So these all instruments have been discussed in detail in theory last year. So public deposits are like fixed deposits in bank. So generally banks accept money for long term through fixed deposits. Same way, companies also start their own fixed deposits, and that is known as public deposits. So that helps a company to borrow funds from the public, but at a lesser cost. Or sometimes even public deposits are not secured, debentures are secured. So you don't need to furnish any security for public deposits. And if you need funds for medium term, not for that much long term, because tenure of public deposits will be 1 year to 3 years. So that's why if you need funds for this much tenure, then you will be better opting for public deposits. So because public is also searching for some fixed deposit like option that will be giving them good amount of interest, they will also be depositing their money into your fixed deposits. Loan on mortgage, obviously if you are taking loan, so if you are mortgaging some assets for that loan is specifically termed as mortgage loan. So these are the major contents of this long-term borrowings. Then second one, deferred tax liability, again no content, and you should be knowing only the meaning, that difference between that accounting income and taxable income. Due to that purpose, either it will be deferred tax liability or deferred tax asset. Now next part is other long-term liabilities. Now these are the familiar terms again. Premium payable on redemption of debentures. If you remember the topic in issue of debentures we have done, that is issue of debentures considering the terms of redemption. In that topic, we were promising at the time of issue of debentures that we can redeem the debentures at premium also, either at par or at premium. So if I am redeeming the debentures at par, obviously there is no loss. But if I am redeeming the debentures on premium, then obviously there will be a loss in the journal entry and there will be a liability. And the name of the liability was premium on redemption. Name of the liability was premium on redemption. So at that time I also told you that it is a liability for you because you will be paying that premium after the expiry of the tenure when the debentures will be due to redeem. At that time this amount will be payable. That's why it is your liability. So now you can see in balance sheet you are also showing that amount as liability, premium payable on redemption of debentures. It is nothing than premium on redemption which you were crediting at that time in the journal entry. So premium on redemption account will come in the other long-term liabilities because you have not borrowed that amount from anyone, but it is your long-term liability. Same way as we are promising premium on the redemption of debentures, we can also promise premium on the redemption of preference shares also. So that's why second point is premium payable on redemption of preference share. So I hope these all points are clear. Now next part is long-term provisions. So what are long-term provisions? Again, first thing, meaning of provision should be clear. Provision is created for a known liability which will come in future. Now if you are having your employees, so obviously you will be having some liability for your employees in future when they will be either retiring. At the time of their retirement, you are supposed to pay some amount to them. Then so that is called provision for employee benefits. Then second one is provision for warranty or claims. So whenever we buy any product, first of all we check its warranty, how much warranty it is having. Suppose I am purchasing a television, a smart TV I am purchasing, I will first check its warranty. So this is also a factor while we are purchasing some assets, especially electronic asset. At that time we check its warranty. So now think from the point of view of a company. They have sold suppose 1000 units and each unit has been sold with some warranty for 2 years at least, suppose. Now for that 2 years, if any defect is there in the product which comes in the purview of warranty, then company has to give that service. Company may have to replace the product or company may have to replace any part of that product. So that all has to be fulfilled and that is having a cost. So when you are promising again to your customers that we will replace your product or we will replace the part if any defect is there, so obviously some percentage will be there and for that percentage you have created this provision for warranty or claims. So that's why it is a long-term provision also, because 2 years warranty you have given, that's why it will be a long-term provision. Provision for gratuity, this is also a retirement benefit. Provision for earned leave, there is a concept in a job sector that you get every year you get some casual leaves, CL, and if you don't use that leaves, you will be paid for that uh, leaves. You will be paid accordingly. So that is called earn leave. If I have not used that leaves, I have not availed that leave, then I will be getting payment for that. So generally, this amount get accumulated over the years. Suppose every year an employee is allowed 10 leaves, and he has worked in our company for suppose 20 years. So now 200 earned leaves are there. Suppose he has availed in 20 years, he has availed 50 leaves. If product has 1 year warranty, then it will not be a long-term liability, obviously. Then it will be a short-term liability for you. But generally warranty is for more than 1 year. Sometimes what happen, like if you see air conditioner, so there is a different warranty on different parts. Like some parts are having 5 year warranty, some parts are having 1 year warranty, some parts are having 2 year warranty. So that is a technical issue. Right now you are not supposed to do accounting that, but you should be knowing that warranty will be generally it will be a long term provision. So it may be short term also, that I am not saying. So I was telling you concept of earned leaves. Now out of 200 earned leaves, after 10 years, it's a long-term liability, and you know that this liability will be there for sure. It is a non-liability. That's why we have created a provision for earned leave. Gratuity is what? Gratuity is uh, a word derived from gratitude, or means it means voluntarily. So whenever gratuity means voluntarily, it is not compulsory. What to happen that if an employee is working in your organization for last 15, 20, 25 years, he has served your organization. So obviously when he retires, the employer, out of gratitude, uh, on a thankful note, pays some amount to the employee that you have served so long in our organization. That's why we are paying you as a gift at the time of retirement. So this is a voluntary payment done by the employer to the employee at the time of retirement. This is called gratuity. So there are some calculation norms also in government sector for this amount. So because again you will be paying this amount after 15, 20, 25 years, after so much long tenure. That's why it is termed as provision for gratuity, and it is a long-term provision. So these provisions will be coming here. Now coming to the current liabilities. So first heading is short-term borrowings. So obviously you are aware about bank overdraft. Last year when we have done cash book, at that time I told that bank overdraft is nothing, but actually what happened, you have withdrawn some extra amount from your current bank current account, and it is a limit allowed by any bank to its customer, that you can withdraw such extra amount from your account whenever you need that. So it is a very short term loan. You have to pay that back within a few days. Otherwise, there is a very high rate of interest on that. So it is a short term loan. You have taken cash credit on the security of your stock limits. You have to keep that much stock. You get cash credit from the bank. So this is also a limit provided to you by the bank, that whenever you need some funds for your business, you can withdraw, you can avail the benefit of cash credit. So this is also a very short-term borrowing. You have to pay that money back within a short span. Then again, you have taken any short loan from the bank for 1 year you have taken, or any short-term deposits you have accepted. Means if you are accepting deposits for less than 1 year, like here we were accepting deposits for more than 1 year, 1 to 3 years, and here we are accepting deposits for less than 1 year, then it will be termed as short-term deposits. Like if you will check with bank, there are some FDs options available for 3 months, 6 months, even 9 months. Such options are also available in fixed deposit. Then next is trade payables. Cash credit, again I will explain. Cash credit is what happened. Bank create a limit for you, that whenever you need funds, you can ask the bank, and it is a loan, but it doesn't need any processing because everything is kept ready. Bank will check your stock limits for a certain time period according to their norms. What is your stock limit? How much stock you kept at a time? No, it is not a credit card limit. It is not a credit card limit. So means cash will be credited to your account. If you need, you will inform the bank, and bank will give you the credit immediately, because they know that generally you keep this much stock. So it is given generally on the security of your inventory. So you have to maintain that inventory level, and you bank will be verifying that inventory level timely. You have to submit your inventory statement, so that bank will be knowing that how much stock you are maintaining. Yeah, it is CC limit. CC limit, if you might have heard in your father's business, it is called CC limit. So it is just, you can say, a different view of bank overdraft. Bank overdraft is created according to the amount of transactions you are doing in a day. According to that, bank limit is created for bank overdraft, and cash credit limit is created on the basis of your inventory. So again, trade payables. So trade payables, as I told you, in trade receivables, that debtors and bills receivable will be there. Here will be creditors and bills payable. So these are very familiar terms. You don't need any explanation for that. Creditors are the persons who are supplying you goods on credit, and bills payable when you accept any bill for the payment of the due amount on a particular date after a certain period of time. You sign the acceptance, then that document is called bills payable. This we have studied in class 11th syllabus also. Now other current liabilities. This is a very important heading. See, these are all the familiar terms and very less in number. Easily it can be learned. But other current liabilities, will you watch? If you will watch, it is a long list. 13 points are there. Now, see, the first point is current maturity of long-term debt. Now, what is current maturity of long-term debt? If you will check it, debentures are there. Suppose I have issued debentures for 5 years. So after 4 years, when I will be preparing my balance sheet, I know that now in this year, the tenure will be completed, and I will be paying the amount of debentures on such and such date. I will be redeeming the amount of debentures. So now, because less than 1 year time is there, and I will be paying it, redeeming the debentures in the current year. So that's why now, while preparing balance sheet, it will become my current liability. It will not remain my long-term liability. This point is clear? So that I was telling you at that time also, that whenever your long-term liability is there, and suppose less than 1 year time remains to be repaid, to repay that liability, then it will not be shown in the non-current liabilities. Here it will get shifted to the other current liabilities heading. Now suppose I give you an example. Suppose 10 lakh rupees debentures are there, and now in this particular year you will be redeeming only suppose rupees 4 lakh debentures. So that 4 lakh will become your current maturity of long-term debt. 4 lakh will be written here and 6 lakh will be written here in debentures. So that way it is called current maturity of long-term debt. Same is the case with bank loan also, or any other long-term liability also. Interest accrued but not due, interest accrued and due. These both terms I have already discussed with you in debentures. What is interest accrued but not due? What is interest accrued and due? So at that time I also told you that both will be presented in current liabilities heading, under the heading current liabilities in the other current liabilities. Income received in advance. Last year you have learned this adjustment unearned income. So whatever advances, whatever income you have received in advance, that will be called unearned income, and that will be also shown in other current liabilities. Unpaid dividend. Now you know the meaning of dividend. Dividend is the part of profit which the company is distributing among the shareholders. Sometimes you are not able to pay that dividend. So that is because you have to pay that dividend in coming future. That's why it is termed as unpaid dividend. Same is the term here, unclaimed dividend. Unclaimed dividend is what? That we have paid the dividend, and nowadays, however, the amount reaches to your bank account automatically. Earlier, it was not a scenario like that. Earlier, what was happening whenever company was giving dividend, company was sending you a check, or you can say dividend warrant, by post or by courier. So sometimes some shareholders' address get changed. It is not updated in the records. So it is difficult to trace them where they are. So that amount of dividend was remained unclaimed because company was not able to deliver them at the proper address. So there was a time of, now it is also, there is a time of 7 years. If some dividend remain unclaimed, company will wait for 7 years. Company will keep that amount for 7 years. And if no claim is there, then that fund will be transferred to the investor education fund. That dividend will be transferred to the investor education fund with the government of India. Now, next is excess application money due for refund and interest thereon. So this is a familiar term for you, excess application money due for refund and interest thereon. When you were doing second entry, at that time you were returning excess application money for which refund is due. If you are not giving any shares to that applicant, or if you are giving less number of shares and you have adjusted the amount for allotment also, but even then some excess is there, so that is called excess application money due for refund. So this is already has been discussed in shares. That's why I was saying that if you have learned shares or debentures properly, then only you will be able to complete the third book, because lot of concepts will be discussed over there. Unpaid mature deposits. What is unpaid mature deposits? Like we have learned here public deposits, and here we have learned short-term deposits. So these are deposits. Now suppose we have accepted that money, this money for 3 years. So after 3 years it is becoming payable, but somehow due to liquidity reason or some other reason, I am not able to pay that amount. That will become unpaid matured deposits. You have to pay that back within a few days or within a few months. Unpaid mature debentures. Same is the case with unpaid mature debentures also. So now I hope these two terms are also clear. What is unpaid mature deposits and unpaid mature debentures? This list you have to learn thoroughly. Outstanding expenses, last year adjustment. So it doesn't need any explanation. Calls in advance. Be careful with calls in advance. I told you at that time also that calls in advance will never come in share capital portion. It will always come in current liability portion. It will always come in current liability portion. So outstanding expenses, calls in advance, unearned income, interest accrued and due. So many things are there which can be asked to you. Unclaimed dividend, I have explained. Provident fund payable, every employer is bound to deduct some PF contribution from the employee's salary, and they have to contribute on their own also. So that is called provident fund payable. So you have to deposit it monthly wise. That's why it will be part of other current liabilities. And whatever GST liability is there, every 3 months you have to pay that. That's why it is also a current liability. So that's all about other current liabilities. Next part we will discuss in the next period. If you face any query, any doubt, you can send me.